Hey, it's your girl Colornata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. This is episode 186 of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, and I am your host, Carla Renata. If this is your first time joining me, please give me a big old thumbs up to let me know that you are here. Click that bell for notifications if you are on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel because you never know who you might see here with your girl, Carla Renata. I'm just saying. Anywho, I have a jam packed show for you, so I don't want to waste any more time. So, without further ado, let's take a trip around the curve. Let's take a trip around the curve. Jonathan Majors is set to star in Magazine Dreams with Jennifer Fox and Dan Gilroy producing. Ryan Gosling is in talks to play Ken opposite Margot Robbie in the Barbie movie. Wesley Snipes and Tiffany Haddish lead Luminosity Entertainment's comedy Back on the Strip. Raymond and Ray, Maribel Verdú, and Sophie Okonedo join Apple Studios' film opposite Ian McGregor and Ethan Hawke. Sundance Institute's Vanguard Award went to Sean Hayter for Coda and Amir Questlove Thompson for Summer of Soul. Robert Durst, who was featured in the HBO documentary The Jinx, was found guilty of first-degree murder. Uma Thurman is set to play Ariana Huffington in Showtime's Uber series Super Pumped. Meryl Streep, Gemma Chan, and Matthew Rhys are among the cast for Apple's climate change anthology Extraploitations. Actress Katie Seagal is recovering in a hospital after she was struck by a car in Los Angeles. The Woman King, Jamie Lawson, Hero Finds Tiffin, and Masali Badusa join TriStar's Viola Davis historical pick. Anthony Hopkins and Jeremy Strong joined Anne Hathaway in James Gray's Armageddon Time for Focus. Hilary Swank is set to star in An EP Before She Disappeared series adaptation from E1. Tommy Lee Jones is set to star opposite Jamie Foxx in Amazon's The Burial, replacing his fugitive co-star Harrison Ford. America Ferrera, Tanya Sriracha, and Gloria Calderon Kellett team up for Dear Hollywood. Real action based on Latino representation project aims to partner with studios. TriStar lands TV rights to Christian Chin's novel Counterfeit. Kevin Hart takes on a dramatic role for a Netflix limited series True Story alongside Wesley Snipes beginning November 24th. Disney has officially pushed back Doctor Strange to May 6, 2022, Thor, Love and Thunder to July 8, 2022, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, November 11th, 2022, and The Marvels in February 2023. Carole King and James Taylor have a documentary coming from Frank Marshall, and it is set for CNN and HBO Max. Rolling off the smash success of Lupin, French star Omar Sy has entered a multi-year feature deal with the streamer, marking the first time a French talent and filmmaker has had such a deal. Spike Lee and Nate Parker are being sued by indie filmmakers over copyright infringement for American Skin. The Sopranos, Warner Media is in talks with David Chase about HBO prequel series. FX is developing The Bobby Love Story, a one-hour drama starring and executive produced by Octavia Spencer and Kerry Washington and ABC Signature. Rachel Bloom and Aline Brash McKenna reunite for Badass, a comedy in the works at Hulu with Bloom starring Zachary Quinto, Lucas Cage, Simon Rex, and Judith Light and Audrey McDonald lead Film Nation's Down Low. And Kate Winslet is joined by Marion Cotillard, Jude Law, Andrea Riseborough, and Josh O'Connor for film on model turned World War II photographer Lee Miller. Today on The Curvy Critic, we're talking all things Ron Gone Wrong. The Designing Women join me to talk about women filmmakers, and we have A Mouthful of Air. And that is it. Oh, and Dune. So stay tuned. And that's it for this trip around the curve. So y'all know I've been talking for weeks about me being in Arkansas. Yes, I'm in Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas to be exact. And we are doing the world premiere of Designing Women, which was a hit TV sitcom in like the 80s or 90s, I believe. Well, now it is on stage, and it is on stage with some of the most fabulous women I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I asked them, and they all graciously agreed to come on here and talk to me about their favorite movies that either star women or directed by women, have some kind of ghoulish thing happening. And I asked them to come, and they all said yes. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so excited. Yay.
So basically, we get to talk the way we talk in our dressing room?
Pretty much.
Okay, good.
That's
Pretty
right.
much. We get to talk the way we talk in the dressing room, which is pure comedy. Oh my God, I cannot. So I asked y'all to pick some movies that were directed by women or had something to do with women. And I'm going to go with Amy first because this film, The Babadook, I have never heard of this film. Talk to me about it.
Kim, do you know The Babadook?
I do. I love that movie. Yeah.
It's in the horror genre. Made in 2014 by, it was her directorial debut, her feature directorial debut, Jennifer Kent, an Australian actress who was on a lot of television series and as a regular. Then she shadowed under Lars von Trier. She started directing a few episodes of television, and this is her first feature. It won multiple awards for screenplay and for the movie itself. It's I would call it more of a thriller than horror, but it definitely is in the horror category because it gives homage to all the great horror movies ever made. You know, it was, yes, that is a perfect example of version of the Babadook, sort of Nosferatu looking spirit that invades her home that she is in alone with her child. And the story goes that on the day she was giving birth, as she was being driven to the hospital in labor by her husband, they get into a car wreck and the husband's head is severed diagonally and he dies. And then she gives birth to the boy, and we pick up the story 6 years later, nearing his birthday, which is also the anniversary of the death of her beloved. And as she finds it impossible to process any grief, the Babadook, which is found in a children's book during one evening when they're reading bedtime stories, the Babadook comes in to invade her body, spirit, and soul, and she goes on a violent rampage and loses her mind very self, and in the process actually killing some other things that I don't want to give away. But it's really the story about grief. It is how you kill yourself and everyone around you by not processing grief. And it slayed me figuratively. And I've seen it multiple times. I can't say enough about production design, screenwriting, the actress. Oh my God, what is her name? I'm going to look her up here.
I cannot wait to watch this movie now. I'm like, I've never heard of it. I'm totally going to watch it.
But she's a genius. Her first name is Essie. Where is she? I don't have her on IMDb. She's stunning, absolutely Oscar worthy. The child is like the little kid in The Shining, Danny Lloyd. He's a dead ringer and his performance is through the roof. It's just a masterpiece. I can't believe it's her first movie.
Wow.
Look at you. I can't even handle that. Let me unmute Debra's mic for a minute and have her introduce herself. I found her. She's in the bottom of the page. I'm like, where's she at? Hey, girl.
Hi, Debra.
Hey, Debra.
Hi.
Hey, Debra.
Hi, everyone. I am super intrigued by that movie. I'm Debra Caps, and I don't know what else I need to say here.
Oh, girl, I said it for you. It's all good.
Great. It probably sounded a lot better, too. So, yeah, that sounds like a great movie.
So you chose Silence of the Lambs, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm going to go super dark, but now Amy really took the lead with that. Yeah, I love Silence of the Lambs. I chose it because I'm really of the generation. I have a little girl. So now, she has all these fairy tales that really lead with women saving themselves or other women saving each other. But man, from my childhood, it was Snow White and Cinderella and all of that. And so I remember very clearly seeing Silence of the Lambs, and what rang so true to me, first of all, that I think there's a lot of just that the hero is this woman who, it's not really her strength or just her strength. It's not her intellect or just her intellect. It's all that she is. And really, she's the one that's sent out to save everyone, and specifically the women in this situation too. And yeah, it was just a great character study. To see her kind of like that last scene, I will forever remember. Even, that in the dark, the chase, all of that. I remember thinking like, wait a minute, this is exciting. Like this is really cool. So for me, it's one of those things that I go back to a lot. And I also think there's an interesting element of, it's quite the character study in general of both those lead characters. And I think that, Hannibal himself has an interesting sort of relationship to femininity. So I thought it was it's a classic for a reason. And there are, things that to revisit it that you are reminded of, a certain time period. But it was one of the first things I remember seeing where I was like, oh yeah, no, we're going to go save ourselves. That's what we're going to do.
I remember that movie. That movie scared the shit out of me. I couldn't sleep for weeks.
Right? Oh my
I rolled
God.
out of the theater and
love that movie.
Not.
So good.
I cannot.
Yeah, it's super spooky.
So good.
It really is. Sarah, what was your choice? Tell the people.
Thelma and Louise.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so wait, tell them about the homage to Thelma and Louise that we do.
Yeah, there's a line in the play when we talk about that I asked Julia what she's going to do if Trump wins the election, and she says we're going to get in my car and Thelma and Louise it. So there was a little.
This is the 30th anniversary of that film. Did you know that?
Yeah, I love that movie so much, and it's actually the same year. That's funny because you brought up. I think that Jodie Foster won the Oscar that year because Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon were also nominated. And it was written by a woman, Callie Corey, who I think is a fantastic writer too. And I don't know, it's just one of my favorite movies. There's so much about the friendship, and there's so much about what they go through together, and like the change, especially the evolution of Gina Davis's character from the housewife with a crappy husband who, asks for permission for everything, to the woman who's robbing the store and taking over control of the situation when she sees Louise's character start to feel overwhelmed by the situation. And there's also so much humor in it, including from the male actors, that there's just some really like gem of moments. If you haven't seen it and you want to or if you haven't seen it in a long time and you just watch it, and you'll find all these like one-liners that are super funny too. But overall, just I think it's such it's obviously a heartbreaking story in so many ways, but it's also just watching the friendship between them and the way they have each other's backs, and the way they basically are just us against the world at that point, and what are they going to do to get out of this situation that they didn't put themselves in, is great. So I love that movie so much.
Listen, I love it because Brad Pitt's in it. That's
Girl,
all I know.
Oh my God. That's the scene that sticks out for me. Yeah. Oh my God.
Listen, the Brad Pitt sex scene, I'm all in. I just.
Look at Kim. Kim was like,
and there's like such a funny moment when he meets Thelma's husband, when he gets arrested and he meets Thelma's husband at the police station, and he jumps down the stairs and he's like, I like your wife. And then and her husband goes after him. It's so funny. It's so good.
Of course he goes, I like your wife.
Yeah.
Because he really did in real life. Oh, did I say that out loud? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I went there because I'm messy like that.
And that's why we love you.
Yes.
And Kim, girl, talk to me about yours.
Shocking. You'll all be so surprised that I picked Bridesmaids.
Yes.
Because when you talk about a movie, led by women, obviously Paul Feig directed it. So it was not directed by a woman, but it's the entire cast, and it was written by women. As a comedian myself, I love watching women be silly idiots. It's one of my absolute favorite things. That's who I've always been. And getting to watch women that I mean, grew up just totally idolizing on Saturday Night Live forever. Getting to do this movie with each other being just something you never get to really see women do as you know, as much. Anyway, I love
that you're
it.
talking about the experience from the actor's perspective of how you envisioned how fun the set was and how fun the process of creating that was and how fun the writing is. It so mirrors what we're experiencing right now and how we are so thirsty to experience this together. That's really kind of amazing.
You know, what's really kind of amazing is that a couple of the films, Bridesmaids and the one that I picked, The Women. Have y'all ever seen The Women?
Oh, yeah. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. And it was 2 versions of them. But The Women in particular reminds me of what we're experiencing right now with Designing Women because of the subject matter of that particular film. There's these 5 women that come from, you know, they're really, really tight, good friends. And they come from, you know, all these different backgrounds, but stuff starts to get a little messy and they start to get a little messy. and as it gets messy, it becomes comical and things unfold. But there's the one character played by Norma Shearer in the 1939 production that kind of is the more grounded person. And she's the one going through all the drama, but she's
a straight man.
Right. But her friends are like swirling around her, creating more drama than there ever had to be. So Norma plays, Mary Haynes, and she finds out that her husband's having an affair with this woman who is like the perfume counter girl at some department store, and who's played by Joan Crawford. How about that? It was Joan Crawford, and she was gorgeous in that movie too, right?
Yes.
But when Sylvia, who's played by Rosalind Russell, who I kind of love, Rosalind Russell, when her and Edith find out, they deliver the gossip, and then the shenanigans pop off. But the film makes me laugh out loud every time I see it. And then they had the nerve to remake it in 2008 with like Meg Ryan, Annette Bening.
I'm looking at that.
That's Carrie the only Fisher. One that I've seen. So I should go back and watch
about that one.
I don't remember it.
Well, that says a lot.
There you go. That's all you need to know about it. She doesn't remember.
I just got really hot saying that.
Why did me and Kim just completely go out of frame? Like, excuse me.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, that shit right there was pure comedy. Oh my God. And she still got a straight face. She's like, yeah, I said it. I don't remember it. And what?
I don't remember it.
But
just because it's been a while. That's all.
It's been a minute. But I picked it because it's adapted from that Claire Booth Luce book. So I love that it was adapted from a book. I love that what I kind of didn't like is, back then there weren't a whole lot of female directors, if any. So, George Cukor directed it and he didn't do a bad job, but I would have been really interested to see what it would have looked like in 1939 if a woman had directed it. And then the one that you saw, the one in 2008, it was directed and written by a woman, which is interesting that you don't remember it.
I was really busy in 2008. Okay. I had a lot going on that year. So
okay. That's all right.
I was just watching Gina Davis's documentary. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up. About women directors. When Hollywood first started out, there was a lot of female directors.
Really?
They couldn't afford to discriminate. And so it really wasn't until movies started making money that they started pushing women out of the directorial process of filmmaking.
They started doing stuff like there was a I can't remember her name now, but there was a husband and wife team. It was the same dude that invented. Everybody thinks that Thomas Edison came up with the light bulb, but it's this other dude that came up with the light bulb, and it's his wife that was the one that was directing a lot of stuff. and he sat back and took credit for her stuff. So if you look in history books, if you look through film books, you will not find her name anywhere. You'll find his.
Same with Einstein. Same with
Huh?
Einstein. His wife, Einstein's wife, was like just as smart. I'm pretty sure she's the one who came up with
No, it's not her. It's this other one. It's this,
right, but yes.
Yeah.
Tesla,
Go ahead.
Are you thinking of Tesla? Are you thinking of Nikola Tesla?
Say that again. Yes, that's who it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of those smart men had wives behind them that were really doing all the dirty work.
They had these wives that were the bomb.com, and they got no credit, none, zero, zilch. And if you look in, like what I was going to say is, if you look in history books or film books, or even, you know, at any film school, you won't find any of these women's names in any literature anywhere. And I think that's a shame and disgrace. And so it's kind of no coincidence that we're in Fayetteville, which is like 30 minutes outside of Bentonville. And since you brought up Gina has a film festival there called the Bentonville Film Festival, which caters very strongly to female filmmakers.
I didn't know that.
Fantastic. The documentary you should all see is called This Changes Everything, which is really about how when she was in Thelma and Louise, they thought this was the watershed moment for women in film, and nothing changed. It wasn't until lawsuits were brought that people actually decided, oh, well, we're going to have to change the inequality here, or we're going to get sued, because now we're breaking the law. So I recommend This Changes Everything. Great documentary.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
And after I watch the scary movie that you told me about, that'll give me
Oh, it's so good.
Silence of the Lambs or the Babadook?
Babadook. Silence of the Lambs is excellent, obviously, but
yeah, I won't be seeing the Babadook because I'm not that doll.
Well, now I'm going to watch The Women. I'm really curious to see that one.
Listen,
Tell us more about that.
The 1939 one?
Yeah, the 1939 one.
It's so good. It's really, you know, it's like it's the best thing about The Women is that it stays really true to the novel by Claire Booth Luce, but it also shows how comedic Norma Shearer can be, because Norma Shearer up until that point was doing a lot of, you know, melodramatic movies and stuff, and she had a lot of money. She didn't really have to do movies, but this was the first time that they showed her being a little funny, they broadened her horizons on screen, where her range was stretched a little bit. And then Rosalind Russell was just messy, like she is in every messy movie that she's in. She's just messy. But that's why you love Rosalind Russell, because you love to watch her be messy in a movie. She was just messy. And Paulette Goddard was in it. I think Paulette Goddard at the time was married to Charlie Chaplin. And this was a big departure for her too, because she was another one that was seen as, you know, the glamour puss, you know, not a whole lot of substance. Yeah, not a whole lot of substance to her characters. And this was an opportunity for her to stretch out and be a little bit more than that. It's a really good character study of women on film, that movie is. I love it very, very much.
Nice. I just wrote that one down too. I got to remember to watch these.
I love that. Well, y'all, we are approaching our time, but I want to show these pictures that I meant to pull up when I was introducing y'all, but my things were acting up. My buttons were acting up, so I couldn't pull them up. But I had to pull up this picture of Kim, honey, because she looks way too fabulous. I have to do it.
I know.
Whoa.
Yeah, do her.
She looks like a movie star. I'm like, oh, I'm working with a movie star. And then I got this one, Sarah. And wait, if they don't look glamorous enough, then here we go with Miss Amy.
Oh, yeah.
God. That is bizarre.
Great color.
You look like Suzanne Sugarbaker in that picture, which is hilarious.
That's true. It is a little Suzanne Sugarbaker.
I love it.
It's a really good color on you.
And then I couldn't find a good picture of you, but I'm going to add it in later. I'll add it in the promos. You send me one and I'll add it in the promos. But I want to respect y'all's time, because I know Miss Sarah has a podcast to do, and I don't want to have her scrambling to do that.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Honey, you got some time?
I got time.
I love that we are talking about this. I also wanted to echo too that I love, Kim, you bringing up Bridesmaids, because one of the key things I mean, you know, we all know film is so curated, right? The experience is so curated. So that's why if you have that director and the editor, you know, that's female, you're getting more of that, you know, influence in that curated experience. But I also just love the idea of, you know, we have to make room for women in a space, and the actors, the crew, those people need to be invited into a space and feel like they belong or welcomed there. And, you know, we've seen this in a lot of other industries as well. But, you know, until you have leaders that make that space for folks and where you feel represented and you see yourself from, you know, when you're a little girl or, you know, a little boy, even, you know, whatever it is that you need to be able to see that representation of yourself. Not everyone dreams it. So, I mean, I'm really, you know, we're so nowhere near where we need to be with female directors in film. But, you know, every time I see someone really kind of break through and have that moment, you think that's when everything's going to change. But it makes a big difference. I mean, I see it, you know, raising a little girl too, how much, you know, she gravitates towards that already. She sees herself and that's what her way in. So, you know, it's kind of one of the great things too with this show that we're all in on stage, which, you know, the writer is so important in theater, I think. And, you know, being able to represent, you know, different women up on stage and connections and relationships. It's so huge. It makes it, you know, you're just changing a whole group of people into going, let me think about this. Let me see this from a different angle. And one of the movies I almost chose was American Psycho because I loved that movie and it's directed by a woman.
Oh, that's
and,
right.
Is it? Oh, I didn't realize
I think
that.
that's what my in was without even knowing it. You know, it was like, you know,
movie.
why do I find this so interesting? And like the, you know, the curation of it is such a interesting female perspective too. But yeah, so I love that. And I always think when I see Bridesmaids or is the camaraderie of those women and everyone like elevating each other up. I'm like, yes, that must have been so much fun.
Yeah, they're just yes-anding each other. If you don't know, that's an improv term. But just, you know, I mean,
she's like, let me break it down for the people.
Comedy while I'm here. I just, you know, that they had the best time filming that movie. Yeah. Just right, like you said, like lifting each other up, supporting each other. Try that, yes. Be as silly as possible. And these women all have this incredible ability to be, you know, over the top and so funny, but still remaining so grounded and so real. And I've always said, you know, my thought process is like, you can be as big and grand as you want, as long as it's honest and people will go on that ride with you. And I think they all do that so wonderfully. And that's just a note that I take from them whenever I see any of those women.
Yeah, I'd say Melissa McCarthy is like the queen of that. You know, she can be so grounded, but she can also do the most outrageous thing and you buy every second of it.
Exactly.
Totally.
Let me tell
a little
you
bit like Miss Haley, but when you play Miss Haley in Designing Women, very much.
Okay, wait, let's just talk,
you know,
let's just talk about Kim Matula in Designing Women. Let's just talk about that for a second. If y'all were not fortunate enough to see the stream of Designing Women or be in Fayetteville to see Miss Kim Matula play Haley, you missed something, honey, because Miss Thing is shredding and eating up the scenery within an inch of his life.
But like,
I wouldn't, nothing on the stage. There's nothing left on the stage, including her. It's a
and yet you believe she is a living, breathing, normal human being walking around just like the rest of us. That and that's what is so, you know, her emotional journey in this play is so rich. That's what makes the comedy even pop even more. Is that it's a really interesting emotional struggle she's going through with a husband that is gay, and her spiritual beliefs keeping her bound. And when she breaks free, all comedy hell does break loose.
I gotta say though, truly. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, baby.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if you remember. Well, okay, so you know, in the show, I have the line that's like, "Oh, I don't think that this person inside of me would have come out unless I had met all of you," and I feel that so honestly, and
Oh
so
my God, don't make me
deeply.
cry.
I
because because I feel that way about being on stage with you women. I mean, so deeply. Like even when Harry, our director, was like, "Could you trip a little more on those stairs just during rehearsal?" And I remember having the thought of like, "Oh, I wonder how much I can go with that." And so I asked you guys, "How far do you think I can really take this comedy?" And Amy, I remember you saying like, "All the way. Really take it. Really go for it as much as you want to do." And so I do. I feel like I wouldn't have had the bravery the courage to be as silly as I am without having you guys supporting and lifting and just being such great sounding boards and such great comedians to watch also while I'm on stage. Like if I didn't have you guys, I just
hate you right now.
wouldn't be the same.
Group hug.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a really beautiful collection of women who have slightly different approaches to their comedy, and it does feel, like we could continue this on. It was so perfectly cast. It was so perfectly cast. I feel the same way you do, Kim, and I'm inspired by each and every one of you. Debra's monologue at the end just so solidly nails the heart and soul of the show. And oh my God,
we're all crying before we even get to the part where we're supposed to cry.
I know. Yeah. It gets me every night.
Just because listening to you, Debra, talk it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's really
and Carla's
beautiful.
with Black Lives Matter. Unzipping your heart and soul in front of the audience. After you've just made us pee in our pants laughing, you then unzip your entire heart and soul for us to see the deepest pain a person can experience. It's incredible.
Thank you. Y'all make me sick.
Yeah.
I cannot. But while I have you all here, I'll just take this last couple of minutes to say to you, to your faces, and on the internet where everybody can hear it and see it, that this has truly been a life-altering experience for me because I had a chance to know all of you. And because of that, I've become a better person. I've become a better actress. I've become a better comedian. And I will never, ever, ever forget y'all as long as I live.
Ditto.
Best podcast ever.
Yeah.
Ever. to quote Sarah Colonna line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
People tuning in are like, I didn't know all these girls were going to be crying by the end of this thing.
What are you drinking, Sarah?
Iced coffee.
Boring.
Yeah, we have a show tonight. We better not be liquored up.
Girl turning up already.
Oh no, that's post show only.
Well, I will take this opportunity after I clean my face real quick to thank Miss Sarah Colonna, Miss Kim Matula, Miss Amy Pietz, Miss Debra Capps, my heart, my soul, and my backup and my support in designing women in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I have made lifelong friends. I'll never forget y'all. And I'll never forget that you took time out of the middle of your afternoon in this crazy schedule that we've had to come on here and talk movies with me. I really appreciate it.
We love you, Carla.
We love you.
Love you.
Love you, Black.
Yeah. Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. Oh my God, I love my girls so much. Let me give a big shout out one more time to Miss Sarah Colonna, Miss Amy Pietz, Miss Debra E. Capps, and Miss Kim Matula. Thank you, ladies. It has been my immense pleasure to work alongside you doing the funny and the tears.
Mwah. Much love and respect. All right. So let's get on into it. I told y'all last week about this film that's coming out called Ron's Gone Wrong. Well, this week I have interviews with two of the stars, Miss Kylie Cantrall and Mr. Ricardo Hurtado. Honey, we had a good time talking about some bots and them getting some screen credit for them improvs you be doing when you on the set. Here we go. Just take a look and a listen. Hey, how you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to be here with you too. I love this little film. It has so many messages and it's such a positive thing. And we need so much positivity right now. Don't y'all agree?
Definitely.
Totally.
Absolutely. So I know in doing these kinds of films, when you're recording, whether you're separate or whether you're together, there's a lot of improv that's going on, right? Yeah. So do y'all feel like, when you improv these lines, do you feel like you should be getting some screenwriter credit?
Totally. I need to see my screenwriter credit somewhere in there. Actually, that is such a good point though, because that does happen a lot. And from doing some in real life TV where it's not animated, I feel like it's way more strict with the freestyling. Like usually when you're doing a TV show or like an in-person movie, I feel like you have to stay on the script way more. But it's cool doing this film where I was able to like actually ad lib and freestyle and put my own little spin on it. It was fun.
What do you think, Ricardo?
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure the reason I got this job is because I was improv left and right. Like it was just, especially for my character Rich, he's just he's all about like getting the views. He wants to be the center of attention. He's all about being the hype guy, the YouTuber kid. And he's all, it was just improv nation in there. I remember they would just like, Ricardo, just do whatever. And then I'll just go for it. I would just say whatever. I mean, sometimes it'd be like kind of bad, but sometimes it was pretty awesome.
I love that you're like, it was improv nation over here. I'm not mad at you for saying that. And I'm stealing that term, improv nation. That is hilarious. So listen, I know we have all been in this situation. Actually, I was in this situation this morning. I ordered something from Apple that every time they sent it to me, it wasn't right. And I had to keep calling. And I'm like, why have I ordered this once and y'all keep sending me the wrong thing twice? I don't understand. So have y'all ever ordered something like what happens in the film? He ends up getting this B-bot that is just not happening. But have you ever ordered something and gotten the wrong thing and was like, you tried so many times to return it and then it just didn't happen. So you just tried to make the best out of it anyway. I'll start with Ricardo this time.
I'm sure that I have. And I can't think of anything on the spot, but definitely I think with some like devices, like maybe like, a tablet or something like that. And sometimes it just doesn't is not cooperating with you and you just got to do what you got to do. So yeah, I'm sure.
I know. Kylie.
How about you, Kylie?
I feel like Amazon is hit or miss. Like I love Amazon, don't get me wrong, that Prime shipping, it comes the next day, it's great. But lately the stuff I've been ordering on Amazon, it's like been wrong. I got a chair for my room and it was supposed to be white. It came in brown. I was like,
how you go from white to brown?
Literally, I was like, that is two completely different things. I know I put white, but I actually ended up liking it more. So that goes to show that sometimes it's better to just sometimes get the wrong thing.
That part. And then last but not least, with this last question that I have for both of you guys, if you were to order a B-bot, if you had the opportunity to order your own B-bot, what type do you think you would want? And what type do you think you would want? What type do you think you would want? And what would you want it to look like?
Go for it, Kylie.
I feel mine would be purple because purple's my favorite color. You can't go wrong. It has to match with my outfits. And I feel like my B-bot would be like my personal secretary. She would write down my appointments and do my homework for me. That would be amazing. She could just be like my private tutor.
Oh, look at you. You just need an administrative assistant B-bot. I kind of love that.
She could cook for me too, because I can't really cook. So she'd be like whipping up some bomb meals for me. Period.
I kind of love you for that. Ricardo, what would yours be like?
I think since we're going with colors first, I go with green because green's my favorite color. And I definitely want a karaoke machine implemented in that thing so I could sing on the spot wherever, and definitely like a projector so you could like project movies, and specifically Ron's Gone Wrong on the go wherever you go.
I love that. Oh, and since you brought up karaoke, I got to ask you this. What's your favorite karaoke go-to?
Ooh, mine is I'm Yours by Jason Mraz.
Ooh, do you do karaoke, Kylie? And if so, what's your go-to?
Yes, I be doing karaoke by myself in my room when no one's watching. My go-to karaoke song, anything Rihanna, honestly. Maybe some Diamonds, Stay, either.
Y'all are hilarious. I loved talking to you guys. You were so much fun, and so is the film. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today.
Thank you.
I really appreciated it.
You're the best.
Thank you, Kylie and Ricardo. That was a lot of fun. Okay, so I can't have the stars of the movie of Ron's Gone Wrong without having the director, Mr. Octavio E. Rodriguez. He is a hoot. I love his work so much. I'm a big fan. I have been following his work for quite some time, so it was my extreme pleasure to have an opportunity to talk to him. So take a look and a listen to this interview with Mr. Octavio E. Rodriguez, the director of Ron's Gone Wrong. Hey, Octavio.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm even better now that I'm talking to you. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I've been following your career for a minute.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course. So having said that, as someone who is a Latinx director, there's not a lot of people of color in this space. You know, we had Floyd Norman for the longest time, Bruce Smith, and a couple of other people. But now, you know, it's starting to become more the norm as opposed to the exception. And so having said that, I wanted to know what it was like for you the first time you got a call to enter this space for the first time.
Oh, wow. It was pretty amazing. For me, it is one of those things where it's taking a minute to actually have, you know, people of color coming up into these ranks.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to work at Locksmith and for them to let me come onto this project, and for what it was, you know, the idea of, you know, a kid basically feeling socially awkward and different felt something that I could relate to. So it was, when I read the script, it was like, oh my gosh, this seems like up my alley about creating some kind of story about somebody trying to just fit in and it's not working exactly the way they would want to. So for me to have the opportunity to direct and to tell this story, especially because, you know, being a parent and having kids of my own, and in this world of like tech, it's this idea of like, it's not a bad or good thing about the idea of explaining what tech is, but the way of maneuvering through all the social networks. And this movie tells that story.
It absolutely does. I also wanted to find out, you know, there's a lot about heart in the confines of this film. Heart in how you deal with it in different ways, heart in how you deal with somebody that's different, the heart of technology. There's so many different things that connect back to the heart, right? And so how do you define what the heart of Ron's Gone Wrong is, and what does that mean for you to communicate that via animation? Because that's a huge message for children and or adults. You mentioned that you have kids. So the kids are going to view that message one way and the adults are going to view it different. But what does it feel like for you to be able to communicate that message in such a universal way?
That's actually a great point. The observation of it being about heart and this idea of connection is super important to me. It's this thing of having a conversation with your kids who are dealing with being the likes and the posts, and how do I basically feel like I can be part of a tribe or a group. So to me, this was like a love letter to my kids, and also for parents as well. The idea of being able to connect and for them to feel like they're not alone. I think that's like one of the biggest things for Ron and Barney, who are looking at each other going like, hey, how are we friends? Like, how do we define friends? And what does that actually mean? Like, how do we socially interact with each other? And that sense of like being different is something that it should be, you know, not to feel like I'm the only one going through it, which actually a lot of kids feel nowadays, being, you know, a parent and an 80s kid that didn't have any of that tech. It's this idea of like, how do I actually maneuver through all this?
I know, because as a kid, we went outside to play. Like, you know, you came home from school, you went outside and you played with other kids until it got dark or the street lights came on. That's what it was. But now, you know, there's all this technology, and you bring up a really good point, because how do you think this film is going to enhance a world that's already presently having that disconnect of young people with the use of technology and being present? Because the technology takes them out of being present, because they're so used to, you know, doing this. How do you think that this film is going to help that to a certain extent?
Yeah, the way that helps that, what we're trying to do is basically trying to get ourselves out of like what, you know, with the social interaction and the algorithm of the friendship, which is it puts you with this like-minded people. This actually, the idea with Ron and Barney, the relationship, is that they're totally different. And so I would say maybe not the hands, but maybe have a different perspective of having different opinions and different ideas, and not trying to be all in this one group is a way of kind of like stepping back. The idea of trying to have a different perspective, interacting with different kind of people is the way to go, I would say. And again, it's something that it's here to stay. Tech is here to stay, but the idea is, how do you find a way to get that other perspective and not be caught up with the followers and the likes and all these other things, but how you can actually have a new way of thinking, which is, how do I interact with other different people that I wouldn't even actually take the time to know. Hopefully that will actually get us out in the world to kind of do those things.
And last but not least, if you had to choose a B-bot for yourself that you would want to get, what would your B-bot be?
Oh, wow. I, for one, would like to have a Ron, just because of the way he is and how he is inquisitive, deadpan, honest, brutally honest about everything. And again, if I had a different kind of skin, maybe it might be the Ghetto Blaster, you know, radio ones that are actually in the movie, which I think is awesome. I think specifically the one that Rich has. But yes, that would be my bot.
I kind of love you for picking a Ghetto Blaster B-bot. That is the best way to end this interview. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the film and everything else that you've done. And I'm looking forward to more of your work in the future.
Oh, thank you. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you too. Bye-bye. Thank you, Octavio. That was fun. I kind of love that he had a Ghetto Blaster bot. That shit made me laugh out loud. Okay. Insti-hoo. Let's get into Dune, honey. Dune has been the talk of the town this past weekend. It hit theaters over the weekend. It's in theaters and streaming simultaneously on HBO Max. It is produced by Warner Brothers. It is directed by Denis Villeneuve. And it is a remake of a film from 1984. It's a sci-fi fantasy film. And it's a feature adaptation from Frank Herbert's science fiction novel. And Denis was a huge fan of this novel. He was a huge fan of the 1984 film and really, really, really wanted to remake it from his vision. They say that he had like an old beat up copy of the Dune book on set that had dog ears everywhere of all the things that he wanted to do with his vision. So Dune is basically about this Duke's son who leads desert warriors against the galactic emperor and his father's evil nemesis to free their desert world from the emperor's rule. It has an all-star cast. The cast includes Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson, Timothy Chalamet, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Sharon Duncan Brewster, kind of loved her. Charlotte Rampling, I love her too. All of these people, all-star cast. Timothy Chalamet is the lead of Paul. And he's kind of slaying it, y'all. He's kind of letting us have it. And he's really, really, really good. Actually, the whole cast is really, really strong. And I dug Dune. I got my entire life. I'm going to watch it again because I'm just like, I loved it. Denis also did the screenplay. He's producing it. He loved this book as a child. The score by Hans Zimmer is fire. It has insane costumes, insane production design and special effects. The way that they use the
the shadows and the angular shapes of the spices and the sand and the dunes is freaking awesome. The colors are basically muted grays and sand browns and black and caramel colors, so that nothing kind of pops out. Like there's no bright jewel tone colors. It's all kind of earth tone things happening. The sandworms were fierce. I loved it. I love how they made the spices look really rich and crystally. I'm a big fan of the way DPs do their thing, because that always draws me into the film, in addition to the performances and the directing and the film itself. So I always talk about the technical aspects of the film because I'm down with it. And I just have to give Greg Fraser, the DP, his props. I have to also give the production designer, Patrice Vermette, her props. I have to give the costume designers, Jacqueline West and Robert Morgan, their props. The visual effects, Paul Lambert. And Francine Maisler. Francine Maisler is like the Don Corleone casting. This doll casts major people in major films, and the films are always fierce. Like there's never a weak link in the bunch. That part. I love the fact that the overall theme of the film is kind of like retribution of one people over another. And it's very reminiscent of the kind of stuff that you've seen in Star Wars. I mean, you would be crazy not to look at this and see the comparison to Star Wars, but it's a different kind of thing. And as somebody who is a Star Wars aficionado and a Star Wars geek, I'm digging Dune. That's all I gotta say. I'm digging Dune. So if you want to dig Dune, it is streaming on HBO Max and it is in theaters. I suggest, take a look in the theater and then take a look, on HBO Max. Do both. But I'm telling you, you're going to get your entire life when you see it. All right. So let's talk about A Mouthful of Air. A Mouthful of Air is a Sony Pictures film, which is going to be released on October 29th. It stars Amanda Seyfried and Finn Wittrock. It is directed by Amy Koppelman, and it's about this best-selling children's author who writes about unlocking childhood fears, but yet has to unlock her own. After her birth of her second child, things get really dark for her as a dark secret from her past comes rushing forward. There's a lot of significance of the color pink, and pink is always associated with women and girls. So I kind of peeped that and was really fascinated that pink was a through line of the film, the color pink, and just what that color means in general. There's a lot of attention paid to postpartum depression in this film. And usually when we see films like A Mouthful of Air, usually when we see films, we don't see a whole lot of films about postpartum depression. The last time I recall seeing one was Tully. There may have been a couple of more since then, but I remember seeing Tully, and I remember seeing an arc about it on Nashville with Hayden Panettiere's character on the ABC drama Nashville when it was on television. But this is not a nice and tidy film. It's messy, it's real, it's heartbreaking. Amanda Seyfried is chewing up the scenery in this film. Her performance in this film is just... it's like a culmination of everything she's done before leading up to this. She's so very good. I mean, just when I thought she couldn't be any better in Les Mis or Mamma Mia or Mank or any of these other films that she's in, she ups her game every time I see her. I really love her work. And I remember Finn Wittrock and Amanda actually from All My Children. I talked to them about that briefly, but here is an interview with both Finn and Amanda. So take a look and a listen to this interview with Finn Wittrock and Amanda Seyfried from A Mouthful of Air.
Where are you? In a jewel box?
Oh, girl. No, I'm not in a jewel box. I'm actually in Arkansas.
Yeah, but you look like...
You said that like it was the most opposite.
I thought you were going to tell me something else about your backdrop. I was like, it looks like bubbles or glitter. And I love it.
It's like lights and things.
I love it.
But so first of all, I'm really excited to talk to y'all because I remember y'all from back in the day on AMC. So there's that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that part. But that part. But I want to talk to you about, I loved y'all in this movie. And Amanda, your performance in it was, girl, you had me in the ugly cry. But
I wanted to talk about the fact that we really don't see postpartum depression on film or on TV that much. Like, I think the last film I saw that portrayed or even given any attention to was a film called Tully with Charlize Theron. And then they did a real big arc on Nashville, that TV show on ABC.
Right.
But when you're going through something like that, and this question is for both of you, how can you love life, love your family, and still want to slip away? And as the husband, how can you try to support that and then find yourself running out of patience? So I'll start with Amanda first.
Seeing what's really there, seeing clearly is impossible. It's just impossible. I've seen it in my family. I've struggled with my own OCD, mental illness. It's really hard to see what's really in front of you. It just is. And that's speaking from my own situation and what I've seen. And it's heartbreaking to watch this character have so much beauty and so much, like, she's really optimistic. Mm-hmm. Outside of her mental illness, she's very optimistic. And then the postpartum depression, it's messy and it's complicated and it's far too common and it's far too unsupported and inaccessible to get help. And it's unsupported and just when you're talking about just a woman having a baby and how hard that is, just at the basic level. To not have support in this, there's no health care. Nothing is supported in this. It's just anything that you get is out of pocket, and it's a mess, really. And to reflect that into the world, like to remind us that we are not protecting these mothers at the basic level, and then you add on mental illness. It's a travesty. It's, you're not even, it's like we go unnoticed. Like we're completely, we're not regarded, we're not considered.
I think you answered that adequately. So I'm gonna ask Finn something different. So Pinky has an alter ego. Julie has an alter ego that's Pinky. Right. So do you have an alter ego when it comes to like your acting life or your real life?
You're a car, aren't you?
Do I have an alter ego?
You're a Ferrari.
Yes. I guess so. Do I have an alter ego? I mean, the alter ego that I have is like a really like boring dad at home who like takes out the garbage. That's like what I do. And
take out the garbage, alter ego.
You would not believe it, but that's what I spend most of my time doing.
That's my time. Amanda, you look like you're 12. I can't believe you got 2 kids, but you look great, girl. You look really wonderful.
Yeah.
But thank y'all.
Good lighting. Good makeup. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda and Finn. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Okay, let me just recap. So we have A Mouthful of Air dropping on October 29th, produced by Sony Pictures and starring Amanda Seyfried and Finn Wittrock. We have Dune, which is in theaters right now, produced by Warner Brothers Pictures, and is also streaming on HBO Max. And Ron's Gone Wrong is in theaters only, but please do yourselves a favor and catch it if you can. It is really a lot of fun. But hold up, wait a minute. Next week, I'm going to have some guest interviews from the film coming out called Violet. You heard me talk about that before during film festival season. It is written by and directed by Justine Bateman. Sorry, I had a little brain fart right there. Justine Bateman. I'm also going to have Rebecca Hall from Passing. I'm going to talk about The Souvenir Part 2. I loved The Souvenir, the first one, so I can't wait to talk to y'all about the second one. Liz Garbus, my girl, has a documentary called Becoming Cousteau. I'm going to talk about that, and I'm also going to talk about the beta test and review that. So again, you have tuned into The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. What we do here is we talk to people above and below the line in the film industry and do a little film review action along the way. If this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know that you were here. Click that bell for notifications if you are on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. It has been my pleasure to talk to y'all. This is my last week in Arkansas, so the next time you see me, I will be going live from LA. So the next show will be a week from today, live. Okay? All right. Well, I will see y'all, and love, peace, and hair grease until the next time. Deuces.